I'm going to show you how to take the ring that we made a couple of weeks ago in my last video for this project, and we are going to add a little bit of an embellishment to it to change it up a little bit. I loved how adding that little bit of embellishment changes up the ring and gives it a different look. But I went even further and I thought, oh my goodness, I love this. So I created a bracelet that goes with this project as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we turn our basic ring into a ring with these embellishments. And then in next week's video, I'm going to show you how to make a bracelet to match your piece. So let's talk about what you need to do today's ring project. The first thing you're going to need is 2 colors of a size 11 seed bead. Now this is going to be what you use to make the ring with. You have your color A, which is everywhere you see the peach in this ring. And you have your color B, which is where you see the gold tips or points. So for my color A in this ring, I'm going to be using the black. And for the color B, I'm going to be using the red. You're also going to need 4 mini Gemduo beads. A normal size Gemduo will not work. It has to be the mini. I have not tried other shapes just because I love how this one fit together. So a mini Gemduo, you need 4 of those. You're also going to need just about 12 size 15 seed beads. We're going to use those to kind of pull that top together so that we can do the ring. I'm going to be using a size 12 beading needle along with my size 6 dragon thread. You can use whatever thread you want as long as it is a 0.006 in size. You'll also want a really nice sharp pair of scissors. I've also created a great download on my website. It's a free download about scissors. I added it this weekend, so make sure to go on the website and download that as well. But that's what you're going to need to get started. So let's go ahead. For this first part of the video, I'm going to be doing a primer on the ring. Now, I did this a couple of weeks ago as well. So if you watch that video, then you can skip to further on in the video where I'm showing how to make the embellishments. The one thing that I wanted to mention that Cassie kind of said after she watched the original video was one critique that I want to mention. So let's go ahead. I'm starting out with 4 of my color A beads, and I'm going to bring them down and leave myself enough tail that I can go back through those beads again and stitch it through a few beads. So working thread at the top, tail thread at the bottom. I'm going to take the needle and I'm going to pass through the 4 beads again. And then I'm going to pass through that first bead that I added. This pulls it all together so that now I have something that looks like this. I'm going to pick up 1 B and pass through the very next A. And when you do that, you see it is going to pop into place just like this. So I'm going to pick up 1 B and go through an A, 1 B, go through the A, and 1 B. And this time I'm going to go through an A and then that first B that I added. It's just easier to go through both those beads at one time. Now, if you can't get through both of them at one time, just go through one at a time. But when you do that, it's going to look something similar to this. You're going to have your A's in the center and your B's as the embellishment parts. Coming out of the B, that first B that we added, we are going to thread on 4A. Right now my thread is exiting the bottom of that B bead. So I'm going to come right back around and come down through the bead so that it makes a circle. Now this is the part that Cassie said, if someone is a loose stitcher, they may want to go ahead and go through this circle of beads once more. This just holds the beads together a little bit tighter as you work. Now, me as someone who is a super tight beader, I don't necessarily need that, but for those of you who are loose stitchers, you may need that to help you keep it tight as you work your circle. So I'm going to pass through the very next A from where my thread is coming out in the new circle. I'm going to thread on one B and go through the next A. One B, go through the next A. One B, and I'm going to go through the next A and B together. I could just go through the A. You can do that. That's totally fine. Just through the A. And then through the B. At this point, I need to get into position. We always want to come out, when we're doing our first row, we always want to come out over on this side or this side. If you're left-handed or right-handed, it doesn't matter. You can work whichever way is most comfortable. But I want to come out of the end B bead to start my next circle. So I'm going to pass through an A, a B, an A, and a B to get into position. This time my thread is exiting the top of that B bead, so I'm going to thread on 4A, and I'm going to come back through the bead to make a circle. Now remember, if you're a loose stitcher, go through those beads again, and then you're going to continue to pass through an A, just like that. And then we're going to put our B's in. So I thread on a B and go through an A, thread on a B, go through an A, and thread on a B and go through an A. Now, just like last time, I need to be coming out of this end bead over here. So I'm going to continue to pass through an A, a B, an A, and a B so that I'm exiting on this end. Once I get here, I'm going to continue to work in this manner until I get the length that I want it to be to go around my finger. All right, so I want the whole round less one little box, because we're going to use that one box to connect the two ends together. So just keep going till you get to the length you need for your ring size. Okay, once you get the length that you want for your ring base, no matter if your thread is exiting up out of this very end bead or if it's exiting down, we want that thread to be coming down like it is here. So if it's flipped up, just take your thread or your piece and flip it down like this. Also, you'll notice that I've gone ahead and passed my tail thread through a few beads and trimmed it off so it's out of my way and I don't have to worry about it. So now what I'm going to do is, from where my thread is exiting, I'm going to pass through the next A and B. Pull this all the way through. and we're going to pick up 4 of our A beads. I'm going to come back through this same B to make a circle. And remember, if you need to, go back through those beads again to keep it tight as you work. I'm going to pass through 1A, and this circle is going to be exactly like we did at the top. I'm just going to pick up a B and go through the next A. Pick up a B, go through the A. Pick up a B and go through the A. So again, this one is exactly like the previous. I'm going to pass through that beginning B bead again so that it's all pulled, all connected now, every bit of it. And now I'm ready to add my next circle. So to add the next circle, we come through the next A and B. Okay. I'm going to thread on 4A and pass back through the same B to make a circle. I'm going to pass through the very next A bead. I'm going to thread on a B and go through an A. I'm going to thread on a B and go through the next A. Now you'll notice when I get to this point, I actually already have a B bead. If I kind of push this up right there, I already have a B bead that can go in its place right here. So I don't necessarily have to add the B because the B is already in place. So I'm going to pass through the B here and then through the next A. You can go through the B at the same time if you want, if you can get through both those at the same time. So that now that box is connected to the box right above it. So we're going to pass through to come out of this side bead here. Ooh, someone calls. Okay, so sorry about that. Forgot the phone was not on silent. All right, so now I'm here on the end. So just like every other step, we're going to start out with our 4 A's, and I'm going to pass back up through the B here to make the circle. Again, if I need to, I'm going to go through those 4 beads again to keep them tight as I work. And I'm going to pass through 1A right past where my thread is exiting. So now it doesn't feel like it's as close, but I promise you it works because it feels like it's a little bit far away, but we're coming out of this A and we're going to come through the next B bead here in our row. And then I'm going to pass through the next A of the circle that I just created. So now you see how that bead fits into place. And I pick up a B, go through an A, and then pick up a B and go through an A. So that now this one is complete, and I'm going to pass around to come out of this bead, and I'm going to continue until I'm all the way down here on the very end. You'll notice I now have the length of my piece, and I've gone ahead and I've started one more loop here on the end. So I have 4 A's and then 1 B in place. So this is where we are actually going to fold our piece and connect the ends now. So I'm going to take the end and the start of my piece, And if I put them in a circle, they're going to look like this. And you can see here where this bee right here is going to fit into that slot that we have. So I'm going to make sure nothing is twisted or anything like that. And I'm going to hold them, and I'm going to take the needle, and I'm going to pass through the bee on this beginning side of the bracelet. Or on the bracelet, yes, on the ring. And then through the A here. So that now, when we pull that, you'll see how it connects those two ends. So I pick up an A, or I'm sorry, a B. I pick up a B, and I go through the A and the B. I'm going to go ahead and go through these beads one more time. Just to reinforce, since this is where I'm doing the connection. There we go. And now we have to connect the top row. If I flip it this way, it's going to be the top row. So I'm going to take the needle, and I'm going to continue to pass through an A and a B. I'm going to thread on 4 of my A and do my loop like I normally would. I'm going to go through one A. Now, this time, I already have a B in place here. So I'm going to go through the B and then through the next A. Thread on one A and go through, I'm sorry, thread on a B. That's a B. Go through the A. And you'll notice here I have a B in place already, so I'm going to go through the B and then through the A and the B, so that when you pull that tight, now it's infinity. You can't tell where you started and where you stopped. So we'll go through these beads one more time. Reinforce. And now we're ready for the embellishment part of this process, which I'm excited about. So I'm going to stay right here. I'm going to come out right here. If I hold it like this, you can see I'm going to exit right here. Because in my written pattern, I'm pretty sure this is where I exit on the written pattern. So I want to make sure I stay in that spot. So I am exiting this B right here. This is where you're going to need your little mini Gemduos. So let me grab some of those. All right. I'm going to thread on a 15. My mini Gemduo and a 15. And you'll notice I've picked it up out of the bottom hole. If you've never worked with a Gemduo or a mini Gemduo, they have 2 holes. So I'm working on the hole that's on this end. And then I'm going to take the needle and I'm going to pass straight down through the next B bead. So I'm exiting this one, and so I'm going to take my needle and come straight down through the next B. Pass through an A and a B. Thread on a 15, a mini Gemduo, and a 15. And again, you'll notice I'm picking up out of that bottom hole there. My thread is exiting this B. I'm going to come right across and come through the next B. And you'll notice that when we do this, number one, you want to make sure, let's see here. I think I got this thread caught. We want to make sure no threads are caught, number one. And we want to make sure it's not twisted when we pull it. And right now you're seeing the flat. You should, if I look at it like this, I'm seeing the flat parts of those mini Gemduos, because when we pull them to the center, we'll then see the rounded part like this. I'm going to continue through out of that same little circle. I'm going to continue to pass through the next A and B. I'm going to do a 15, a Gemduo, mini Gemduo, and a 15. And again, you see there how I'm picking it up. My thread is exiting this B bead, so I'm going to come right up and go straight through the next B bead. And then I'm going to pass through the next A and B. I'm going to thread on my last 15 mini gem and 15. My thread is exiting this B. I'm going to come straight across to the next. So that now when I pull that, this is what it should look like. I'm going to continue to pass through the next A and B. And this is going to get a little bit tricky because it's a little bit tighter. This is why I called for you to use a size 12 beading needle. And then you can see there, once I get through that B, I can also continue to pass through the first 15 and the bottom hole of that mini Gemduo. So now we have to step up. So step up means that I'm going to take the needle and I'm going to come up through this top hole. But if I come through it in this direction, it's going to put a thread across the bead. And we don't want that on the front side of the bead. So we're going to come to the top hole on the same side of the bead. And we're going to pass through the top hole. So now what will happen, it's going to put a little thread there on the edge, but once you stitch, you're not going to notice it as bad. That's called our step up. You do that on pretty much any 2-hole bead that you stitch with. So I'm going to go through the open hole of the next mini gem, and I'm going to continue to go around, going through the open holes of the mini Gemduos until I come back to that first one again. And I'm going to pull that tight. And this is what it'll look like. So you definitely want to go through it again and reinforce. If you don't, it's going to be floppy and woppy and everything else. So we're going to go through it one time, through all 4 of those holes one more time just to tighten it up. And then I'm going to exit out of any one of those mini Gemduos. I'm going to thread on 115 and I'm going to go through the open hole of the next mini. And then I'm going to do this all the way around. So this is going to cover up any thread that you see that connects the minis and just give it a little bit of an extra touch. Just like that. So you can see what that looks like there on that color sample and on that color sample. So you can see how it just goes from the original to having the embellishment. I did want to show you because I know someone's going to ask. This is a 3.2 millimeter Monty. So if you've never worked with a Monty has a rounded crystal top, and then when you flip it over, it has a metal casing with an X shape on the back of it. So I know someone's going to ask, so I'm going to go ahead and try doing a Monty. So I'm going to do a 15, a 3.2 Monty, and a 15. And I'm exiting out of a 15. And I'm going to come across opposite diagonal through a 15. Now, you definitely don't have to do this. This is not on my original pattern, but I did just want to show you what it would look like. So now I'm going to pick up a 15, and I'm going to go through the other, let's see. Yeah, let's see here. Wait a minute, let me pull this back out and go through it the other way. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm going to come through it this way. This is how my friend Meredith Roddy says, design on the fly. And then another 15, and I'm going to cross through the other hole of the Monty, because again, the Monty has 2 holes. And then a 15. And I'm going to go back through that same 15 that I started with. So you can do it that way. Or I'm also going to try to do it a different way. Let me see if this will work too. I'll pull this out. I'm going to pull this out. All right, so right now I'm still left with this. And then I'm going to pass through, put on a 15, go through the Monty, and then put on a 15. So you could do it that way as well. And then I think I'll just pass back through it all again to kind of make sure everything is centered. So if you want a Monty on the top, a Monty would look kind of cool as well. Let me finish centering this up really quickly. All right, so I got the Monty on there, and honestly, I'm kind of digging the Monty. It looks really neat. And you can see the difference there in adding the Monty and not adding the Monty. You could also take and do a little X of seed beads over the top there if you wanted to. I mean, you have all sorts of possibilities. It's a really fun little ring to play with. Now, once you get whatever you're doing here at the top, then you are just going to tie off your thread however you like to tie off your thread, and then you are done with your ring. So again, basic ring with the embellishment, and then ring with going further with the embellishments. So I think this is going to look amazing with our bracelet that I'm going to show you how to make next week.